Okay, so I just spent the last three and a half hours ish finishing Mistborn, the last like 120 odd pages or so. And I'm kind of left with three feelings all at once. Number one, this was really good. I am immensely satisfied, and I absolutely fucking loved it. Number two, what do you mean there's two more books? Like, I knew that already, but it's like this to me, it has a very satisfying end. Not just like, yeah, like, it ended really good, but I can't wait for the next one. It's like, this, if there were no sequels, I could still leave this feeling satisfied. The fact that there's two more books that, from what I understand, the level of quality is just as good, or if not, they're a little bit better, gets me really fucking excited. And yes, on Prime Day, I went ahead and just ordered the whole trilogy. I think they're actually, today is Thursday, because this is a room talk video. But I believe they are supposed to arrive Friday. Maybe if I'm lucky, they'll arrive tomorrow, and I can start Well of Ascension a little bit early. And I'm really looking forward to reading the rest of these. The third thing that I'm left thinking is, hey, remember when I was supposed to read Higurashi? um, I just barely touched it, and it's not like I was reading Higurashi and going, wow, this is boring. Wow, this is bad. The vibes just weren't there. And again, that's not just in a sense of like, yeah, I'm taking it off the list. It's just not clicking with me. Like, it's Higurashi. I love Higurashi. I love Ryukishi's work. It's just, for whatever reason, it's not clicking with me right now. It's like, I need to read Higurashi like I kind of thought it would be. Right now, Mistborn is the reading project. Just finished book one, like I just said. But hopefully, we're about halfway through the month. Hopefully, I can finish the Well of Ascension before the end of July. Probably not Hero of Ages. That'll probably go sometime in August. After that, not 100% sure what the next project is going to be. Maybe at that point I'll be like, cool, now I'm feeling invigorated to read Higurashi. Maybe at that point I'll pick up Dune. Like, we'll see. But, so, speaking of other projects that I fucking finished this week, yesterday I finished Lunar 2. Haven't started Scarlet Nexus yet. That is the next game project. Possibly later tonight. If not, I plan on starting it for sure tomorrow. But Jose recently finished playing System Shock. Not the remake, but I think he did. I think he was saying he played like an enhanced version of the original. And as he was playing it, especially by the time he finished, he's like, this is genuinely one of the best things I played this year. And that's how I feel about Lunar 2. As much as I love Lunar 1, and I've talked about it, I did a video on it, I love Lunar 1, I feel like it's almost kind of a guilty pleasure. It's like, I like it a lot. I feel like I genuinely like Lunar 1 more than I probably should, but I just do. By the time I got to the end of Lunar 2, I was like, this genuinely feels like one of the best RPGs I've played. And of course, I'm going to do a video on it, give my full thoughts, full spoilers, all that. I have a bunch of notes for it. I have a bunch of notes for Mistborn as well. I just now have to actually write them all down because they're on my phone and that's what I use to record. So I needed to write them down physically, get them organized, and then talk about it. I doubt either of those is going to happen today or tomorrow, and then I work Saturday, Sunday. Excuse me. So hopefully I can get these couple videos out early next week, maybe this week, but I doubt it. But it feels good. It feels good to finish it, cross it off the list, and also go, this one was immensely satisfying. This one was also immensely satisfying. Which leads to the other thing I finished. So, I think I said last week what my goal is for July. In addition to, let's finish reading Mistborn, check. Let's finish Lunar 2, check, is I want to finish editing my manuscript. And the goal was, if I do 11 pages a day, by the end of July, I will be finished. Because at that point, I was already about 100 pages in. So I was like, all right, if we go with this pace, we're good. And by the time of last week's video, I was like, cool. I've been shattering that pace. I'm doing an average of about 20 to 25 a day. Sometimes a little less, sometimes a little more. I can probably get this done like by the end of next week. If not, hopefully somewhere close to that. So then Saturday morning, I woke up and I just felt like shit. I felt physically kind of ill. I felt mentally just drained and exhausted. And it was honestly just the stress of the last few days. All the tax bullshit, the thing that happened with my car and being not really in an accident, but kind of in an accident. Like, I just got my oil change done. I was like, it's something that needed to be done. It's not exactly cheap. I just felt really off. So I remember letting my boss know. I was like, I'm not feeling well. I just kind of need to not work today. My boss is very understanding. My hours tend to be very flexible. So he's like, yeah, that's fine. No problem. See you tomorrow. So I had said to myself, I was like, okay, what I need to do today is I want to be productive, because I feel like that's what I haven't been able to do as much these past few days, kind of this week as a whole. I need to do something productive, and I need to do something that makes me happy, like something that I can say, like, I feel satisfied with. I'm going to finish editing my manuscript today. I have 172 pages to go, but I'm going to do it. And you know what? If I get to the end of the day and I'm not done because I still have some left, that's fine. But I want to give this as good a faith and effort. I want to give it a good faith effort and just work as hard as I can on it. It was an all-day thing, but I got it done. All 450 pages. I mean, in that day it was 172, but it was a lot. But I did it. And it was nice. Like I've been saying, like with the other two things, it was nice to finish something and feel satisfied. Because this is a manuscript that I'd finished a couple times before. Where I'd written it, I'd looked over it, and something was wrong. Either, like the plot didn't quite work, or the lore didn't work, the characters weren't quite right. There were always so many problems with it. But I kept... Sorry, just remembering Eminem lyrics. I was like, I need to fix this. And there were times when I just had no drive to work on it because I was so frustrated with it, I was so exhausted with it. But after substantial rewrites, I feel like I finally got to a point where I like it. Now, I will definitely say that it's not Mistborn. It is not something that, if you've read it, you would think, I am satisfied with this. It is very clearly a part 1. And that might be a problem. But even then, you look at like the first Harry Potter book. I guess you can argue that could kind of work as a standalone with room to have sequels. So potentially, I've kind of fucked up and shot myself in the foot. I could make it just one standalone book, but in that case, essentially I have to just write the other half of the series and make it one book. It's like, this is, to me, like, if there's ever a place to split it, this is about as far as I think it could go. And yeah, like I said, on the one hand, I'm like, is it really done? Because there's a lot more shit to do, there's a lot more shit to write. Yes, that's true. But I feel good about it. Now, that does not mean it is perfect. For all I know, it's actually not even good. It might just be dog shit. But I like it a lot, and I feel finally happy with it. It only took 3.5 years. Which, to me, the thing that's really interesting about that is I have a lot of writing projects. There's a lot of shit that I've finished. The last thing I had really worked on was a 4-part series, which also took about 3.5 years. And it's really, on the one hand, I'm like, writing this one book took just as long as this entire series. I don't know what to think of that. But the more I kind of think about it, I'm like, no, that actually makes a lot of sense. With just, this is going to sound really weird to say, but hear me out. It makes sense given the personality and the vibe I get from those two series. The 4-parter, was something that was very consuming of me. Not like I was working on it and left me felt like very drained and exhausted, but it was something that just commanded my time. It's like, I need to be written. You are going to do this. What do you mean you haven't? Like, dude, you haven't written in days. You haven't written in weeks. Fuck you. You gotta get on this. I'm like, I literally wrote yesterday. Like, I can take a day off. It's fine. What's that line from Across the Spider-Verse? Like, can you just get off the kid's ass? That's kind of how it would be at times. I was like, there would be other times where, like, my brain would just kind of start thinking about maybe another story, either something I had actively worked on in the past or, like, a new idea. I'm like, this is interesting. I like developing with this. I like kind of playing around with this. And then I get to a point where I'm like, cool. I feel energized. I feel refreshed. I now want to work on something. And then that story would be like, all right, so that means you're going to work on me now, right? Yes, dear. That's kind of how it felt. It was, I like to call it an attention whore because it just did not let me pay attention to other stories. This one is different. This one I actually got the idea of while working on that other one, and I was like, I just feel like I haven't come up with something new in a while. So I was coming up with it. I was playing around with a lot of ideas. I was like, okay, this is cool. And then later, well, no, that doesn't work anymore. And then, et cetera, et cetera. And like I was saying, whenever those kind of things would happen, I'd play around with an idea, I'd like it, but then it would just kind of get tossed in favor of this other one. This one didn't. It was more of a, I'll concede, I'll step away, I'll let this one have its limelight, but you're not forgetting me. You're not going to just toss me away like all those other ideas. I'm still here. I'm still important. And even all the times when I was just working on it and there was just, I couldn't get it quite right. It didn't feel like the attention whore. It didn't feel like, hey, why the fuck aren't you writing? Why aren't you getting this right? I was like, it's fine. It's fine. You're gonna get it. But you gotta keep working at it. And I know how weird that sounds, talking about like the individual personalities of my stories, and it makes me sound possibly a little psychotic, which maybe I am. Maybe you already have that impression of me, I don't know. But I feel like that is something that, sorry, brain stop for a second. Like, there's an old Stephen King quote I remember, and I think it was from one of the Dark Tower books. I want to say it was the third one I had read. Maybe it was the second or the third, I don't remember which. Where at the end of the book, he was kind of talking, he's like, I remember while I was writing this book, it felt like the book was writing itself. Like, I would sit at a typewriter, it is like, I have my ideas, but things would just flow so naturally, it didn't even feel like it was coming from me anymore. And I remember at the time I read it thinking to myself, is this guy a loon? What the fuck is he talking about? What do you mean it wrote itself? You wrote it. You are the creator. You are the god of the story for all intents and purposes. Like, what are you on? Now, I'm like, no. That makes sense. That tracks. There are times when that shit happens, when you just get like so into the story and just letting everything flow, and you kind of have no idea where it's going anymore. And sometimes you write something and you're like, with everything I currently know about this idea, this shouldn't happen. This doesn't make sense. This is incompatible with all the shit I had planned. But this new thing feels right. This feels correct. Kind of more than that did. It's a really interesting feeling. It's a really unique experience. And so, yeah, I can easily see why this sounds probably butt-fuck insane. Maybe it is. But it is genuine. It is real. And yeah, it just feels nice to be satisfied with stuff. Like, with all these projects. And yeah, there is that sense of, I have a list. I want to work through the shit on my list. But it just feels really, really good to have enjoyed those things. Because not everything I've played or read, I feel like I've liked everything I've read this year. But not everything I've experienced has been like, whoa, this is great. This is fantastic. Some of them are just like, well, it was on the list, and I liked it, but I didn't love it. I'm happy I loved all 3 of these. But I guess a couple other things. Now that I have finished editing that manuscript, now I'm going to start working on something else. Clay and I are starting to work on a VN. I spent like 2.5 hours yesterday looking at artists, and I'm still not done. Like, I have... sorry, my ear's starting to really bother me. I have a lot of artists that I follow, like on Instagram, on Twitter. So I'm just kind of going through everybody and like, okay, what do I think of this art style? Is this something that I feel like could work for this story? Yes, add them to a list. If no, then just kind of move on to the next one. And I'm just going to say, like, there's so many that I follow. There's so many. I'm like, this is such a good art style. I love this. I don't think it's quite doing it for me with what I want this story to, like, look like. But that does not mean I don't like these artists. Like, holy shit. But I'm probably going to do some more of that today. Hopefully I can go through that list. And I think right now I'm at, like, 90 people. So, obviously, I'm going to have to trim it down a lot. And that's going to come down to a few things. It's like, all right, now that we have the list, what are the ones that in terms of the art style that we really like? Okay, cool. Now, of these, like, the smaller amount, who actually has the availability to do it? And then also, what are the commission prices? Because that shit's going to be pricey. But I am looking forward to the process. And then also, there's been a lot of changes to the lore of that series. And I'm excited. I'm excited to play around with it. Because it was like, yeah, I know I have to look at the manuscript again and like kind of go scene by scene, like, all right, what's the kind of music I want playing here? What are like the sprites? How would I want the sprites to look so we know what to commission? Are there any CGs here? What should the CG show? Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like, I know I have to do it, and I kind of want to, but I don't want to. But now that I can actually tinker around with the story a bit, I'm like, ooh, now I'm excited again. This is fun. So there's that. Tomorrow, I'm going to go see Mission Impossible 7. I am looking forward to it. I'll be honest, I'm not as excited for this as I am for Oppenheimer or Barbie, but I'm still excited for it. I'm hoping I have a good time. I think the only other thing, because I haven't done any complaining yet, I have to complain about something. I still haven't gotten my copy for Trails into Reverie. I think I ordered it back in about October. I have the confirmation email, but I've received nothing about it being shipped. And from what I understand, a lot of other people are in my situation where they just haven't received it yet. They haven't received any shipping confirmation. And 2, excuse me, I know that apparently the launch is just bugged as fuck, which I wasn't going to be playing it because I've already played it. This is more just for the shelf, but I know Clay is going to be playing it at some point. He's just probably going to borrow my copy. So it'd be nice if they got it fixed by that point. But let me check. Do I have anything else I really wanted to say? That's pretty much it. Yeah, hope you guys have a good day. And like I said, I don't know when the Mistborn video is coming out. I don't know when the Lunar 2 video is coming out. I don't know which one I'm going to do first. I guess I should do Lunar first because I beat it first, but Mistborn's more fresh, but it's also more fresh by like 12 hours. But we'll try to get them both out soon, and I'll see you then.